Good morning, friends, family, fans, well wishers. Good morning. As usual, regardless of the time of day that you may be tuning in, I appreciate you. And I'm wishing you that sentiment of the morning, that time when you wake up and nothing has really gone wrong as yet. You still have all of that promise, and it's really the feeling that I'm wishing you. I'm not really telling you what time of day it is. I'm sure that you can perfectly deduce at this point if it's morning, evening, night, or mid morning, or whatever version of the day it is. It may be a bit difficult if you're living at the North Pole or the South Pole. And then again, we could do an entire rant as to how time is not even real in the first place, and it's really up to you for your interpretation. So, the bottom line would be if you think it's morning and the moon is up, more power to you. But for my point, as you know, I am just wishing you that sentiment. To be quite honest, I am a bit frustrated. This is meant to be the 12th episode, but it was recorded so many times, I think it's the millionth. And of course, part of it is, or some of it, I don't know. There's a difference between fault and responsibility, and I accept full responsibility. Fault, I don't know. Because if you say that it's plug and play, then when I plug it in, I should be able to play. But um, yeah, I didn't like the games that it was playing. I mean, these runs are not scripted. They are prepared to some extent. They are points, but they're not scripted. So each time it was recorded and it came out like shit, I felt bad, felt hurt. There's something that you all would not hear or get to listen to. So, in order or in memory to pay homage to some of those fallen rants, it would be that was excited to try a different way to record in the morning. As you know, there is a lot of background noise where I am because my neighbors tend to be expressive. I'm in a good mood, so that's the adjective I would use. I usually use other adjectives, but let's go with expressive. And I tried everything to dampen and drown them out. Some days I was more successful than others, including the different times to record. But then I wondered, why not embrace some of the environment? So I decided to actually record in the morning, since I always start with good morning, and to invite the background noise in, which would be, not music, not this early. Fortunately, they don't wake up this early. But birds, rooster, maybe the dog, and to work with it and see how it goes. Well, that rant came out like if I was talking like this, and it was just, and I took my time and I did the entire time. And I don't even know why it came out like that. I swear I was listening to it as I was recording it, and I don't know what. So I said, okay, no problem. Right, cool, 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 cool. We'll do it over. Took my time, did it over. And in doing it over, I presented one, but I did it over and over and over and over and over and over like Benjai. I get fed up with the same thing. And presented what I thought was a good project to hear. Richard, you listened to this before you sent it, or you still not listening to them? I thought he was over your voice thing. And I was like, well, I'm not over my voice thing, but I'm proud of myself. I could listen back to it now and I take with Richard, you need to listen to it. Download the thing and I hear good morning, good morning. welcome to like but now why son? What kind of obia, what sorcery, what kind of wickedness, what kind of folly, what kind of fuckery, is this? And I had a little breakdown. Well, it's me, so it was medium size. It wasn't large. It was too late in the evening for a large breakdown. It was just too late. But so it was a medium size one. Or Goldilocks breakdown. Not too much, not too little. And fortunately my producer didn't make fun of me, as he should have. Not that I paid attention, I threw my full tantrum, and some hours later I saw the wonderful messages of support and whatnot, which I didn't expect, because sometimes he just really fucked me up. Anyway, as is typical with all friendships, it's not abusive, just in case you're concerned. Jesus Lord, this needs a blessing. So, I am 6 minutes into this one, and I'm hoping and praying, as I did on the previous million, that this recording is the recording. As per usual, when I listen to it, it sounds perfectly fine, so I'm hoping for the best. What I did pick up on, and I'd share with you, is that it seems like I'm supposed to record on 0. Now, I had a size 0x, so I know that 0 in maths and 0 in, I don't know, practical seems to mean different things. And she had to educate me on that there are even sizes like -1 and -2. Now, she was tiny. She wasn't anorexic or, we didn't have like that joking board abs. She was just a small person, which was fun for sex, for me at least. Was it? Well, I would dare say for her, but we don't speak anymore, so you'll have to take my word for it. And I'm hoping you heard the rooster, because he so badly, clearly, obviously wants to be the co-host on this. But coming back to that, she was a size 0. So I'm seeing the levels, I'm seeing the audio waves like I did before, and I'm hoping that I'm not actually seeing my way to a conniption over this. And I'm not using the previous mic, because I believe in my heart and soul that it doesn't like me and it's fucking with me. I believe it's a conspiracy, and that, would be my suspicion filter, because it was going good, and then it started, just jumping out itself. So although I did do a version, just for 2 minutes, and it did sound just like this one is sounding, I decided that since they sound the same, let's try somebody different, And that's how we make decisions throughout. And I'm going to keep the name of this to the suspicion filter. We live in a society of filters, public relations, platitudes, presentations, and the like. It's almost difficult for people that real and raw. It seems that only really has a vision in porn, or I can't think of any, maybe games, because I can't really think of anything else, and everything else it may be called uncensored and still it's a presentation. Or maybe only in bloopers. And it's for that reason one needs to really apply that suspect filter. The suspect filter would remove the folly, and the fuckery, and it would leave the facts. leaving the bold and the bold face exposed, and leaving you to be able to do what is best for you. In a previous rant, I would have discussed the reasons why we do what we do, and I would have shown how I came to the conclusion that the foundation of why we do what we do is actually love and the energy of love and or the corruption of that energy. However, in a bit maybe to build on that just a bit, I would say that although I stand by the bottom line being love, I would add that it's not foremost on your mind, especially when you're doing some of the shit that you do. It would not be that foremost reason or rationale. I take for example, I am doing this for the millionth time, and the overall reason for doing this is because I'm honored and humbled to have the privilege to entertain, amuse, maybe even stimulate some positive thoughts and to bring about some positive change through you and in your day. And that could easily be, sent all the way to love, appreciation, adoration. But right now, I am legit just trying to conquer whatever the ass is going on with the recording. So this one, I mean, yes, it has to do with you, but this one is really about me. I need this recording to come out good. And then from that sentiment, I will be like, well, I mastered the recording, and then we will get back to that reality. Either way, I believe that if you apply your suspicion filter to me, you would, well, the rant, not all of me, innocent, but to the rant, you would see that my intentions are not detrimental or negative or nefarious. That's the word I'm looking for in any way, especially not towards you. But as I peruse the newspaper, I always feel as though their intentions towards me, I don't even think they care about me in any way as the reader. I think they care about shareholders and making money and profit. Although they purport to be, well, all media actually, I believe, as such, but I am open and hoping to be wrong. The bigger publications and the bigger media houses, they all are publicly traded, they all have shareholders. And while media's purpose is to educate, inform, and to reflect society, and as such, they need to be free from bias, I think their owner's purpose is to make money for their shareholders. Because I don't feel that they adequately reflect anything. I think that they push whatever is sensational and whatever they think will get the most circulation or viewers. And they would also exploit their readers' emotions to do so shamelessly. The fact that this was reaffirmed again because of the fact that I'm still seeing news about Miss Barrett, and it is still not necessarily what actually happened as per their earlier stories. I'm hoping for the last time to say this, but just for continuity, Miss Barrett was not a victim of gender crime or PH driving. Miss Barrett was a casualty of what happens when you try to do the right thing. Miss Barrett is a hero, not a victim, and she should be praised as such. Yet still, you have this at the beginning of the newspaper whereby they are talking about the Trini Avengers. And I can't help but wonder what is their motive. These are very learned, intelligent men. I'm not going to add to their popularity in any way, although, I mean, it's not like if being on my platform is a launching pad at this point, but I don't really want their name in my mouth. I'll have to brush my teeth after. So, the Trini Avengers, they are stating that they're all about women's rights, women's safety, and they want to fast track legislation to protect women. They want to fast track legislation that governs the PH taxi driver. Okay, but why? PH taxi drivers, H taxi drivers, and the traveling public are all equal victims of crime. Taxi drivers have been shot, killed, uh, robbed, harassed, molested, just as much as everybody else, just as much as their passengers. So I'm not getting the need to regulate. If anything, the H drivers should be regulated. And it should be mandated that you, or maybe even the Ministry of Transport, since we seem to always like a parental figure as per our upbringing, should regulate that if you want a taxi badge, you need to state the taxi stand that you would be working and the hours that you would be working, and we would approve it. And there must be a taxi, a certain amount, 24 hours a day. And you must pay a certain amount of money every month to a taxi management association, and that association will give a per diem or a bonus to, or an allowance, whatever you want to call it, money to persons that will be working the overnight shift or the slower periods as per statistical data. That I could get behind. Or they would also improve the taxi stands to make sure that there's seating, sheltered, whether it's raining or not, that you have security as well, and maybe even a police presence. That I would get behind. But to regulate PH drivers, and what you telling me? The H drivers not doing what they're supposed to do. The Princess Tongue drivers now recognize that they're supposed to wear the same clothes when the law clearly states that they will all the time. The next thing is that they want to fast track firearm licenses for women. Okay, why? Firstly, women and men are equally strong in different ways. To compare women to men is almost the same as comparing a fish to a frog. A fish wouldn't hop, okay? I mean, it is what it is. So a woman may not, and there are women that are stronger and on par, certainly stronger than me. But women are generally not as physically strong as men. That's fine, but they have other tricks and things and they have a far better threshold for pain. Even physically speaking, while men have thicker skin, literally, when anything penetrates that skin, we weak. It's like a turtle going on here. We have a low threshold for pain. So and then the psychological stuff and the way that they remember. So you have your own strengths and and weaknesses depending on your gender. So I don't subscribe to women being weaker in any way, or men being stronger in any way. But even I mean, if it is men had to give birth, we wouldn't be overpopulated. I mean, we would be underpopulated. If you like seahorses, where the male seahorses get pregnant, if that was going on here, we wouldn't. That wasn't happening. We would have to have more estrogen to make that happen. As long as it's in a male human brain, then hey, that wasn't happening. We would have had a lot of uterus removals, normal, and it would have had a group of dudes that would just be renting the uterus and making money. Because that is the group that like the pain or they okay with it. So yeah, we too logical. We wasn't going through that just so for what? But I digress, as I usually do. And if we do subscribe to women needing protection and women being weaker, then isn't it that they're supplying their own gun to get shoot? Because now I know that chances are that chick have a gun and she's a size zero, she's tiny. So I'll just take her gun and rob her and get her gun and the money. So now she's like a one-stop convenience shop. I don't really see that being the solution. But if you tell me that you want to fix the judiciary, that you want to maybe have a separate court to deal with violence and assault from that standpoint, or maybe domestic violence, that sort of thing, then yeah, I can get behind that. And as I started, these dudes are educated far more than I am. So when I apply that suspicion filter, I'm seeing glaringly that they would have an agenda, albeit to maybe destabilize the government a little bit more, or to keep the rhetoric going for their own personal gain, maybe to even get firearm licenses because they have firearm businesses, or to be able to bring in pepper spray to sell something. But they're not doing this because they care about chicks and their safety. These people don't even travel, so I don't even know what they're doing talking about the P8 situation or any of that. And this is the beginning of the newspaper, which for a while it wasn't as thick or girthy as it usually was. So like it drinks some porridge, it fluff up, by the way of advertising revenue. It didn't really look like much content. And like a push-up bra, that's what they put forward. Miss Barrett again. When they were finished with that, they went on to talk about the 1 million men that died over that same period of the newspaper. And as per usual, I am left wanting more. At this point, I have to wonder if it's a marketing tactic to keep me wanting more, if the stories are nothing more than a sample or a preview, because I don't understand how I know from the Trini Avengers match that this chick got sexually assaulted a decade ago. The person is still at large, although she would have reported it to the newspaper, to the police, and they were still awaiting trial due to DNA evidence. She had to go to counseling, and her assault was so violent she was unable to use the bathroom for quite some time. And her name and the age it happened, the age she is now, and all of that. But for a guy that got shot yesterday, all I know is man Dabadi shot drive-by shooting. Okay, that's it. All right, and there are about 3 of that. So I'm concerned that we're having so many drive-by shootings. And then there was this fantastic story that had my full attention, and again, I have to wonder if that was the preview that hooked me. A man and a woman was fighting. The woman leaves and gets her brother, who is a security guard. Man stabbed and died. And I want to know what they was fighting for. Who brought the knife? I'm not even fully sure if it was the brother or if it was the other person that got killed. And from rereading it and using deductive reasoning, I was able to ascertain that it was the person, not the brother, the other person that got killed. And I'm saying the other person because I don't know his relationship to the woman. I don't know what they were fighting over. I don't know exactly who stabbed him, if it was the woman or her brother. And I still don't know who brought the knife. I don't even know if it was a knife. I don't know why he died. If it is, they let him bleed out and they say, ha ha ha, ha, you go dead. I don't know if it is he died on the way to the hospital, or if it is he went through the usual channels that we do, performed dead, pronounced dead on arrival. Nothing. So the suspicion filter, they had some space to fill. They don't really care, and men don't really get that sympathy, so it's not really that beneficial to them to report when men get killed, which seems to be like 8-1. There was one report of a female losing her life in a domestic situation. Of course, that story wasn't full. The husband was 54. He stabbed her to death in front of the children and then he killed himself. That one was delivered in full, except for the husband's possible motive or mental health as to why he would do such a heinous act, and what is happening to the children. That was left out. What should be happening to the children would be psychiatric evaluation, counseling, and then they should be put in the care of a relative. But that wasn't put in. So then we move on. And there was the art section, and that got me thinking as to why would the artists be doing what they do? And why would this be reported? I couldn't find anything nefarious in the artist's intentions. Well, not the painters and poets. Vocalists, well, they all about the money. Regardless of what they say, they all about the money. But I believe the main intent of a poet or painter would be to express their views on this existence through their language, which would be poetry and painting. And I think that to be fantastic. I think it to be beautiful, actually. That almost like it could even be like like I'm trying to connect with you or help you understand me. I'm trying to be a part of you. I'm welcoming you to be a part of me. It's really beautiful to think of it that way. But the newspaper didn't give a shit. So they got like a piece of an article in the corner on the left near the back, and next to the fact that we had a gospel music awards. Had no idea that was even a thing. The awards, that is. And I would think in this day and age that there would be a Facebook page, a social media something, whereby you can see the contributions, at least for the poets and the painters, their photos and whatnot. But no. And one of those competitions were actually hosted by the newspaper that printed it. So then they didn't really do this. This wasn't a project that they were proud of. They did this to get some kind of tax rebate. They did this to promote themselves, possibly, or for some kind of economic or marketable gain, but they didn't really do this to help the poets or the painters. Otherwise, it would have been more prominent in the newspaper. It would have been featured on their website. So then we moved on later down and we got to sports, which, as you know, I don't get. I don't understand sport. All I see is grown adults playing with each other, and not in the way that I like to see grown adults playing with each other. And I know the reason for sport, don't get me wrong. Humans like watching humans. We are very makosha species. And it's proven, that's how we learn. We have mirror neurons. When I see you do something that resonates with me, it's like my brain copy and paste the method, and then I try to do it. And that's how we learn. That's how we survive as a species and all of that. But the short version is that we're real fast and makoshas, and we like to watch people do things. So it ties in with entertainment and that whole entertainment aspect, which I would like to veer off quickly into, in the sense that we have nicknamed these three idiots the Trini Avengers. And for me, that is because of cultural colonialism. Humans have this need to be entertained, and we have adopted, purchased America entertainment wholesale, and it's affecting our culture. America has no loyalties to us, and whereas we are just looking to be entertained, we have to be cognizant of the fact that our own culture is the collateral damage for this. We have no stories about Avengers, but there are so many Trinidad folklores and tales and superstition, but that's not the one that they were called in our newspaper. And I'm pretty sure under no circumstances would America have an article talking about the Lagahoo from Los Angeles, or the Cincinnati Sukuya. But we have the Trini Avengers. Or maybe that's what we like. Maybe that's what we prefer, because it's not that those media outlets don't exist. Gaia exists still, despite the odds, and so does WAC Radio, where you can get Calypso, and Trini Bashment 919, which was 24-hour soca, but then they had to modify their broadcasts because they wasn't making any money to broadcast anything. So it is something to look at. America culture has even affected us negatively because we have adopted what we see on TV by way of employment, and our employment laws are not even being enforced. You can't just hire and fire people, but that is what people actually think because that's what they see on TV. And you would think that we would, okay, if we're adopting that, we would also adopt the efficiency of their small claims court, their Judge Judy type arena. But no, we didn't want that. Just the bad things we adopting. You know, it's terrible. But it does seem that we rather watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer instead of Bipti the Sukiya Slayer. So it is what it is, I guess. But coming back to the sport, I cannot deduce why an athlete would want to be athletic. I don't know the point or the purpose. And apart from the entertainment value, I also wonder, why is it okay for an athlete to risk their bodies the way that they do? Some more than others. I mean, a golfer doesn't risk as much as, I would say, a race car driver, or even an ice skater, on the limbs, that sort of thing, or a boxer or fighter of any sort. But it is okay for them to do that to themselves. And I don't know, maybe because it's the morning, I keep going back to porn, but it's not good for someone to do porn, which isn't really risking anything. They do their tests and they literally just getting pleasure out of their job. So, if you apply a suspicion filter to that, do we actually care about the person that's entertaining us? Or do we care about how we are perceived for the entertainment that we subscribe to? So it's not about them, is it? And sex is still taboo. How much you need it. It's the best thing ever created, especially for humans. dolphins, and one or two other animals. But all of the animals that can get pleasure out of sex, because all cannot, especially cats. I really feel it for cats because the male has these spikes and it digs into the female, and it just doesn't sound sexy at all. And that's why it does. But apart from that, why we are the only species that puts all these rules on it that gets pleasure from sex. The other species that get pleasure from it, they fuck anything, they fuck. I mean, it's like, hey, what you doing? I do. Come let me play with your punky. No scene. And that is it, You know, two brethren sit down and a little hand job will pass, and then they will go and get something to eat. Normal scene. But now with humans, oh my God, is there a scene? And Jesus, there's always being it, which is fair. I mean, in all sense, when the sex is good, you do say, oh God. So even if you're agnostic, so I digressed, as I often do. So in coming back, well, I didn't digress that much, so I'm gonna leave this in. Because the suspicion filter would be, as I said just a few minutes ago, that is it that we really care about the morality of what we are ingesting or how we are perceived for ingesting it. I think it's the latter. So at this point, I am hoping still that this recording came out up to par with all of my heart and soul. And I'm signing out, having believed that I've made my point, albeit that this one was really ranty because I was really upset, and still am, that we should apply that suspicion filter to people's intentions towards us so that we would know how to protect ourselves and how to get the most out of a situation. And by protection, I also mean emotional, so that you don't get hurt or caught up in the wrong thing. And so that we can make better decisions, so that we can see the entire picture, so that we can do what is best for us. Because not while everything would lead to that person doing something to belong or for the love of whatever they are in love with, that intention is not foremost on their mind. And it's good to know exactly where they are coming from so you would know if you want to go there with them. So thank you for tuning in to this edition of Richard's Rant. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you sincerely. And as per usual, I humbly ask that you simply do your best with whatever you do, and to acknowledge that your best would fluctuate, but just be content that you are doing your best. All right? So, subscribe to the vibe and comment towards our mutual betterment. And have a good rest of your day. Vibes.